can't leave you. I can't.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of bringing this camouflage S13 back from the dead. Today I am armed to the teeth. Yes, as in control arms. So it's finally time to get the suspension underway and on the car. It's finally time to get the subframe in the car and to put all these control arms on. Now what I have here is an array of all the control arms, lower control arms, the upper camber arms, the toe links, and then the traction rods. Also have a sway bar that'll be going on here, larger than stock. Now these are all adjustable. So what that means is I'll be able to adjust the length of these arms to change my geometry, to change my camber, to change my I'll be actually able to change my caster of the wheel, to change how it actually works, how it works when the car drops. And so basically, a little bit about suspension. Cars are designed, independent suspension cars such as the Camo S13 is designed to change suspension geometry as the car rolls on its axis, essentially. So when you're in a corner and you're driving around that corner, the right side of the car, say you're making a left turn, right? The right side of that car is loading up and that wheel is pushing up into the car. The car's kind of doing this lean over thing, right? And as it does that, it adjusts the camber so it brings the car in to adjust for that roll of the body. And it wants to, ideally what the factory meant to do, what Nissan meant to do with this car is to keep that wheel perfectly straight as the car rolled. Now this is great. This is a great way to maintain traction, but as we lower the car, as we make these cars drift ready, we change things. We need to change things. We need to be able to change our camber. We need to be able to, these cars are essentially dropped. And if you've ever seen a lower car going down the street, there's a whole culture called stance cars. The camber is like this, right? We used to call it butterfly back in the day, but it's an extreme negative camber, and that's what happens if you lower a factory car down to the ground. The upper control arm's gonna go at a different rate as the lower control arm, and you're gonna get this happening with your wheels. Now we want to be able to correct that. So when we drift, we want to be able to get the most tire down to the ground. We want to even wear out of our tire. So that's what all of this stuff does. These things are also great because you eliminate all the rubber bushings. So all the factory ones have rubber bushings, and you get to these sphericals that are in here. And this holds everything together. This makes the rear end not mushy as a lot of factory cars feel. If you've ever gone from a race car to a factory car, it feels so mushy. Like you throw the car and it kind of does this sort of thing. It feels like you're driving Jello, and nobody likes to drive Jello. So, yeah. And what happens on a factory car is that it's meant to adjust for the body roll. Now the cars are factory height, and they're made this way, and Nissan wanted to make sure that you had a wonderful driving experience, and that's all fine and dandy, but we're going to get and tear this car up. So we want this car to be able to do what we want it to do. And that being said, that's why all this stuff's adjustable. The sway bar is part of the suspension, but it's different. What it does is it stops the roll from happening. So when you are going around a corner, the car wants to lean over, wants to do this sort of thing, right? And the sway bar, what it does is it's hooked up to this side and it pivots. So as you lean over on this side, right, it pushes up and it wants to bring that other wheel up. So it creates a spring tension between the right and the left. It connects them without connecting them. And so that's how we create stability in our cars when we're driving. And the size of the bar the stiffness of the bar is determined by the size of the bar, and that determines, how stiff you want it. So factory bars are actually pretty small. I wish I had the factory bar still. It's a tiny little bar compared to this. It's just this little tiny twig. And so this is a substantial increase. Anyways, now that you kind of understand what we're doing, let's get busy. Let's get to work. Come on. Oh. What's up? All right. Now all the control arms. I got the rear knuckles, the brakes, the subframe, the diff. I got all of this laid out right here, and I'm about to do assembly. So that's I figured it's a lot easier to do it out of the car and then install everything into the car. I pull these things out all the time all together, so shouldn't be a problem. Without further ado, I'm going to assemble these arms and knuckles onto the subframe. And building a race car, all of these components, a race car is made up of a bunch of individual components. And there are a bunch of little projects. So if you look at your build, if you start looking at your project as, make each part of it a small project, it'll be a lot easier to understand. It won't be so overwhelming. And, you'll get to places like this where everything will come together and you'll be rewarded. You'll have those little, those sweet little victories. So I'm going to get this stuff on this and my life's going to get a whole lot better. All right, so I'm going to start with the lower control arms on the left side. And this is the lower control arm on the left side. Let's make this thing work. In there. Let's see. Can I get in here? So nice. All right, now let's get this this traction arm in here. Pop this guy out. Traction arm. And I've taken one of the bolts. If you can see that, rounded the tip. I've kind of needled the tip, so I can just take it right here. Without messing up the threads, because when you hammer these bolts in, you're going to mess the threads up. I don't know if you see this thing. I've actually started messing the threads up on it. But what that does is it lets you center that arm without messing it up. Camber arm. Toe link time. This is the toe link. Pop this guy in here. First. Knuckle time. Tool to spread these. Woo! Well, so the left side's all done. The only thing left to do is put the axle in. And I'll do that once the other side's done. I'm going to leave all these guys loose. Because once I get it on the car, I'm going to have to do all the adjustments and do the alignment. So all of these are adjustable. And so even the lower control arm too, I can bring the knuckle out. I can do a lot with these things. I can bring the whole side out to increase the track width. So there's a lot I can do. But I won't do that till I'm on the car, and I'll show you guys how to do that later, how to do a full alignment on the car. So I'm now onto the right side. Alright, that looks good, looks good. Alright, now it's time for the, put the sway bar and the axles on it. This thing is so beautiful. Wow. Can't believe how amazing it turned out. Definitely worth the effort, I tell you what. Alright, well let me get these axles in here, and then the last step is just throwing it in the car. Not as easy as it sounds. This thing's beautiful. Alright, let's get these axles in. This is the short side. These fit. Yep, that fits. Oh, and don't worry. I painted them to match. I feel like every little step. Isn't that a song? Every little step I take. It's late at night. I'm getting a little delirious, but you know, it's okay. I think the closer I get to getting something done, I get that fire in me. You know, it's like when you could see the end in sight. It's like the light at the end of a long tunnel. Unless you've gone through a project, or you know, are currently going through a project, and it's hard to really describe it if you've never experienced it, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to strive. You know, it's pretty cool to to have all those. There's a lot that gets in the way. I mean, this isn't easy. None of this is easy, and you know, there's a lot of life that comes and tries to stop you. It's always like that. You know, I'm no different than anybody else. You know, like this year, you know, there's a crazy times, you know, and I'm just like, I feel like I'm so grateful that I get to do what I do. Actually, while I'm here, I'm going to torque these so I don't have to come back. 25 to 32 foot-pounds. I think 32 should be how we're rolling. You know, it's hard to get through these things and not look over the horizon and see how daunting everything is, but Don't do that. Just celebrate these little victories while they're here. Alright, one axle in. Alright, so this axle nut's the last nut on this whole setup. So once I get this thing locked in place and all snug down, it's time to throw it in the car. And into that, alright, check it out. Oh yeah. Yeah. You spin me right round, baby, right round. Woo! Look at that. Special freestyle motocross tricks just for you. Alright, now for the moment I've all been waiting for, to put this whole rear carrier into the car. I've done this many times. Usually it goes fantastic. Occasionally it's a catastrophe. So, fingers crossed, let's get this done. Well, let's get a couple bolts for this thing just so it stays up there. Well, as you can see, the subframe is in. Went in pretty straightforward. That's the only way to put a subframe in. You can't really put it in backwards. Anyways, had a close call. Glad it didn't fall off the jack. That would have been bad, but hilarious. So yeah, got a lot more to do. Still got to plumb the brakes and things like that. And then there's these collars, these washers that actually center the subframe, and I can't find them. So, and if you take them off, these little black cone weird washer things, don't throw those away. Those are important. You're going to need them at this step, like I do. So hopefully they're not in the trash can. Anyways, I'm all wrapped up, and yeah, looking forward to getting the suspension on here, and that's going to be special. Looking forward to that. What else we got to do? Get the wheels on it, get it on the ground. Whew. Yeah, a lot more to come, but this part is done and I can get some rest. It's been a long day. Anyways, you guys keep tuning in. I'll keep bringing them to you. See you guys.
I can't leave you. I can't.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share. See you guys next time.